Hey everyone, in this video I'll be doing a studio tour of my studio. I'll be answering a few questions and stick around to the end to see some outtakes. Hello and welcome to my studio. My art studio is based in my garden in sunny South Wales in the UK. It originally was a garden workshop that I bought, a single walled garden workshop, and I have over the years developed it. Obviously the first thing I did was I insulated the walls and I plasterboarded or drywalled the walls and the ceiling, and so it's got insulation, fully insulated all round. The windows are double glazed and so is the door, and so it's a nice warm environment. I have heating in here for the winter where it gets exceptionally quite cold and damp in the winter, but not in my studio. It is in my garden of my property, so I do work from home, and that has its swings and roundabouts, ups and downs. It's great, easy access to come out here, but it's also, I have two young children, so there are sometimes issues. It's a 3 metre by 5 metre studio. It could obviously be bigger. We always want bigger, mostly down to storage, because I find storing your materials and your pictures and paintings that you've done over the years that you haven't perhaps moved on or sold can be the biggest factor. So I hope you enjoy my studio tour. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing we have here is my drawing wall. So this is a drawing station that I use for drawing graphite pencils and charcoal artwork. I currently have my turtle, my sea turtle on here. It's been some time to be finished, but this will be finished soon. And above that I have my lighting rig. The lighting rigs are made from inverted curtain rails, which were bought, I believe, on Amazon and just put on the ceiling. They're really good lighting rigs. You can clamp and move all of your lights to them really easily, moving them around. I've got my sockets up on the ceiling, so that keeps everything up out of the way. It allows me to clamp my camera on there as well, so it keeps it up out of the way and makes it quite adjustable. So next to that I have my storage cupboard. So this is just a storage cupboard that I use to store various bits and pieces. It has a handy drop down shelf here with a few pencils in, so I can put that open and put pencils on here as I draw, so that can be quite a handy little thing. And then I can close it up and it looks a little bit neater. The studio is probably the tidiest it's been for a very long time. It's not normally very tidy. Okay, then we have my, so here I have my Epson P900 art printer. So that's really good and really handy for me to get my own art prints, good quality art prints made. Various books under there, but again, we'll try and ignore some of the mess below. I then have some great windows that let in just the right amount of light, and obviously I can adjust the light with the blinds. I have a table which can be folded out a little bit bigger, and this is really handy for packing things, and I've even done some overhead videos on there. I have my air cooler because it is this hot sunny summer's day in the UK. We do actually have them, so that's can be quite nice. I then have some various storage cupboards there that were left over and I've used, and my all-important TV for when I'm not recording. It keeps me company. I've then got my drawing station, my drawing desk. This is where I do most of my artwork, my commissions. So my pet pastel portraits and other commissions I'll do on my adjustable art table. I've got handy little holder there for the current pastel pencils that I use. Again, a small purchase off, I think, Amazon. And obviously I've got a nice little round table, and that's a really good area for me to sit and just draw and get on with my commissions. Again, above that I have my lighting rigs and my camera rig, which again is really handy, and it can just be adjusted as needed. I then have a storage cupboard in there. It is actually currently really full of stuff. We can never have enough storage units or storage space. That I find most of the time it's finding somewhere to put all of the drawings that you haven't actually done as a commission or given away. I've then got my desk area, so this is where I do all my editing for my art videos and art tutorials. And then there's my door. So again, a lot of light in here. I do want to paint one of these walls a slightly darker colour just to give a bit more contrast in here. It can be a little bit too bright and white in here. But other than that, it's a really good space. It's in the garden, so I do have a diesel heater for the winter, which so far for the last 2 or 3 years has worked out really well and really economical. And I have it fully insulated and drywalled. The little gaps I need to fill. But yeah, these last couple of winters have been really good, really warm in here, nice and dry, and it's a really good space to be in. So I hope you've enjoyed that little art studio tour. Again, it doesn't really matter whether you've got a studio or just a little table in the corner of your room somewhere. It's more about your enjoyment and what you can produce. My background is in business. I did hotel management in university and decided the hours were antisocial, so then I just went into the world of sales and then business. I was an accounts manager for a bank, and then I went into sales and business account management for a bioscience company, and that was fine, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do, especially after working for myself for so many years. It was hard to work for somebody else. I have always had a love for art. I've drawn since I was a child, and yeah, and I decided that I was going to just, I suppose one day I was just thinking I want to do this as a hobby, and I was looking and trying to develop my skills further in photorealism, and I was practicing my skills doing that. And then people started asking for portraits, so I would do the odd portrait. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to go for this. And I started to get a lot better at portraits. I started to do them and make money from them, although sporadically and not very much money. It was sort of £50 portrait here and there. So if I actually added up the time, I wasn't actually making anything. I realised though that this is what I wanted to do, and in doing that I decided to sort of broaden my skill set, I suppose, to incorporate a wider audience. I love animals, I love drawing, I love art. I went into pastels, and I found the vibrancy and the flexibility of pastels really great, and loved working with them. So I started offering pet portraits as sort of the progression goes, and there's a few more clients then, because you've got almost a bigger audience. People are more likely to get their pets drawn, and it was moving away from people who just wanted to pay 20, 30, 40 pound for a portrait, not really understanding the work that goes into them, whereas people who love their pets tend to find that they will expect that. And so yeah, that's where I got into commissions for pets. I've always loved all parts of art. It's a real passion of mine. I love drawing. It's where you get away from it all. And so I've also done a lot of painting, and I used to paint a lot of landscapes, seascapes, and I do that as well still, although more of a sideline. So that's sort of how I've developed over the years. So I've started with drawing. I think I drew from the age of sort of 5 or 6, and I went up from there, and I've dabbled in paint, and then as I got older I started to take it all a bit more seriously. So yeah, I think alongside pencils and pastel pencils, it's definitely sort of painting, oil painting, and acrylics as well. Is sort of another side passion of mine, and definitely sort of the seascape, landscape, and realism type of artwork. I love the realism. If I'm doing a painting, for example, I love a painting where every time you look at it, you can see something that you didn't see before, lots of different details. And obviously, I love drawing animals generally. So I've got a sea turtle at the moment, and tigers, and it's just a real passion of mine. So yeah, I find inspiration for my work. I suppose there's two different types of work. There's the work where you earn money from commissions, which is a little bit limited, as in you've got to draw what they give you or what your customer wants. Whereas outside of that, when I'm doing artwork that I perhaps want to do for myself, or I just want to do for myself, I think might be able to sell prints of or sell, then it's a little bit, gives you a little bit more scope. And again, I love nature, I love the ocean, and if I can marry the two up, that's even better. So I'm inspired by basically looking around. I love, when you go outside and you look at the sky and you can see, I think the more you get into art, the more you see all the different colours. So, when you look at a sky and people see blue, or it's a bit of a red sky, but you actually sort of can pick up the purples, the pinks, the oranges, the blues, the greys, and all the other colours that go into making that sky, and you sort of pick up on that, and that sort of inspires you and gives you ideas on what you can do. And obviously following other artists or looking on social media, pictures and what artists are doing, and then you might pick up and think that's really good, but that's really good. I wonder if I married the two of those up, and things like that sort of inspire me and get me to do the stuff that I really like doing. So how do you handle creative blocks and periods? Well, yeah, I mean, you always get them. You get days, especially on a dull grey day, and you've got other things going on. And I think what I found is, rather than coming into the studio and forcing yourself to do, even if I've got commission to finish, if you force yourself to do it, then you won't get a good job done. I think sometimes it's the best to just take yourself out of the situation, go out, talk to people, change your subject thoughts, go for a walk. And sometimes follow some of your other artists, watch some videos, see what they're doing. It can sort of give you that push to go, oh, actually, I really want to get that done and do this. And they're doing that, I'm going to get onto this. So yeah, taking yourself out from your environment is probably the only way that I find to get over that block that you can sometimes get into. Pricing and selling my artwork. Well, mostly my work is commissions, and so I have a price list. I started off selling art for sort of £40-50. You don't really make any money, but you're just trying to make customers and get pictures out there. And the problem is with that, you can get let down by those sort of customers because they're not paying very much. They don't really understand the value of what they're asking you to do. So I sort of tended to increase my prices significantly from that, but I'm not. I look at what other artists are selling for, as long as I'm making a profit, and I don't like to be the most expensive, but as long as I'm making a profit, then I'm happy with that. And obviously you can adjust the prices, then you can give sales and things like that if you're making enough profit from that commission to make it worthwhile, as opposed to artwork to sell, as in paintings, for example. Then I will sell it as if it takes me 250 hours to draw, then I'll sort of work out, well, I want to be at least on minimum wage, if not double that, for my skills that have gone into it and the passion that's gone into it. And that's a case of saying, well, you either buy it or you don't. What I find is you sell prints off a painting, for example, or a drawing, and the prints you can sell a lot lower, especially if you can print them yourself. I have an Epson P900 art printer, and I can use some quality ink and quality paper and get really good quality prints done at a fraction of the cost. So that means I can sell them with more of a profit without having to have them really high. So advice I'd give anyone starting out is just keep producing, learning all the time. I'm learning all the time. Everybody is really, don't get put off by the fact that another artist is better than you. They've practiced, they will like you one day. We're all learning. There are much better artists than me now. And there are some artists that are probably where I was a few years ago. I do tutorials, but in my tutorials I try and teach people the basic skill sets that I learnt, so that they can take those skill sets and go on from there and be better artists than I am. It's all about learning and enjoying what you do. The rest of it will come. It's all about consistency and trying not to be put off when you don't get a sale or you don't get a lot of subscribers. Just keep putting that work out there and it will build. So my future plans will be to produce more podcasts or vlogs, interviews with other artists in the similar sorts of positions. So people who are just starting out, people who have been doing it for a while and are looking to make some money from it or even go professional. Not necessarily the people who are right at the top, but people who are very much like us, so that we can sort of feel that we're all in the same boat, we're all moving in the same way. So creating art makes me feel happy. I mean, it takes you away. It's like therapy. You can get lost in your subject and what you're doing. And if you're lucky enough to have sort of 5 or 6 hours where you've got the radio on or music on and you're just lost in what you're doing, it can really take you away from all the other worries of life. And I think it's good for the soul. Fitting it into other aspects of my life, because I do this as a full-time job, can be difficult because I work from home and I do have 2 young children, a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old currently, and it can be difficult fitting it around school runs, and obviously holidays can be a bit of a nightmare when you've got little ones knocking on your studio door at all times of the day, especially if you're trying to record. But you find ways of getting around it, and it doesn't last forever. So thank you for joining me on my little studio tour and a couple of questions and answers on myself. It's one of many more I hope to do. Less talking about myself and more talking about you guys. I would really love to interview as many people who are in your shoes as possible. Take a look at your studios or your workspaces, even if it's just a little corner of your room. Anyone who's sort of looking to develop themselves or trying to make money or a living from their art. We see all too many of the people who have made it, but it's really good sometimes to know that you're not the only one who hasn't and who is trying to find ways of getting there. And sometimes we can pick up tips from each other. I know myself, I've looked at countless videos and studio tours on YouTube of other artists, but sometimes it's nice to have all of it in one space. I also want to say that it won't just be pencil artists or painters. It could be any craft that you are doing. It's all an art, from candle makers and pottery makers to painters. If you are interested in being featured yourself, then please get in touch. I don't have to do it in person, although I'm happy to travel. We can do it over video link. So I look forward to seeing you on the next episodes of Artist Talks. Hi, and in this studio tour, Hi, and in this video I'll be doing a studio tour and also be... What are you doing?
You just pressed it to me.
So we're not going to be able to do this without you. Is that right? Say hi.
Hi.
In this video, I'm going to be doing a studio tour of my studio and answering a few questions in my Q&A towards the end. In this video, hey everyone, so in this studio, I'm going to be showing you a quick tour of... What are you doing? Come here. We're going to be showing you a quick tour of my studio and I'll be answering a few questions. What are you looking at?